whenever you're ready.
Okay.
It started, so feel free to get started.
Okay. Hey everyone, my name is Selina, and I am here today as a speaker to talk about my college selection. So during my process in senior year last year, I was lucky to have a lot of assistance from my school that has helped me with my college selection, as well as finding opportunities, as well as scholarships and extracurricular, all that. I know it can be really stressful sometimes during this time of the year when all the process is all scrambled up at you at once. So don't worry, I'm here. I'm here to tell you how I did it. So this way you guys could do it as well. So a little bit about me. I am a incoming freshman. Well, actually, there's a really recent news that I'm going to take a gap year because of this situation from ICE, as I am an international student that comes to the US during freshman year of high school. So, but all of this are still true. So I am an incoming freshman at Temple University, and I applied to their honors college as a interdisciplinary engineering track, which you could choose, like literally you could choose what studies you want to do, because I'm usually a more lenient person on studies as well as learning everything that I can. And I am also an international student. And last but not least, I am a first gen student. So I am the first student that actually goes to university in the US. So this is what's happening. Like today, we're going to talk about how college selection goes. Of course, you obviously have to do some researches before you start your application, and this is the situation. You're finished with your applications, and you are starting to receive your acceptances. And what should we do next? So I know most of you guys are definitely an incoming senior. So as my experience, I'm going to share with you how my process goes. These are the schools that I actually got accepted to, and well, not all of them. I applied to all of them, but some of them I did not get accepted to, obviously. But most of them on here, I've received at least like an acceptance letter from them, probably till I think March, because by the time of March, I'm already back in Taiwan, so I have no idea what happened with the rest, but at least I got the email. I know that selecting college is definitely, for me as a person who is really indecisive, it's a really tough decision, because you don't know, sometimes you don't know like if it's like right or wrong. But I think there are ways, definitely ways to relieve the stress, and that stress is through organization. So how did I did it? When I apply to colleges, I definitely have like separated my acceptance and rejection. So let's say if I apply to one of my schools I applied to was Temple, obviously. So I got Temple accepted, but I got rejected from, let's say, Yale. So I would definitely separate them pretty quickly and realize that, okay, I may be sad about it, but it's a process that we have to go through. I don't think, it's not like a negative prep talk, but I would want to try to say, to be realistic with it, that just because Yale doesn't accept you doesn't mean you're not a good scholar. And I think that's one thing you have to think about, because Yale is a pretty competitive school, and you're actually not just competing with the US student, you're competing with the entire world. So accepting for 7% of the whole application pool is definitely tough, but definitely try to keep in track and say you receive this application in March, you can definitely like write it down like in a notebook or something. So these are all my schools that I did. Like I did like categorizing it before I managed to have like receive the applications. So these are all my schools. To say some of the few, I got into Cornell University for engineering major, Rice University for their general, not general, I got in for their chemistry engineering, and Temple, obviously I got in for engineering. Stony, I got into the Y Scholar, which is pretty nice, but the price for international students is more expensive, so I had to pay for out of state. I also got into Bain. Let's see. I got into UBC as well. I also applied to Canada's college because I don't know. I just feel like I want more options, and that was like another option that was close to US. So let's see what else. I got into UConn for nursing. So that's pretty much it. Most of them are either because I found them a while ago and I feel like it will be an opportunity for me to apply for either some specialized programs like WISE or the honors. And so you can see like most of them are like, there's like a lot of them. So this is how I did it. I put my acceptances on one side and my rejection on the other side, which they're listed above. So I got into all my safeties in Target and the Reach School, which surprised me. I never thought of something like this because it can be a miracle sometimes, as Cornell was actually my dream school, and being accepted and looking at the letter in March, like on the Ivy Day, was just amazing. It was just like oh my god, like am I in or something? But that's my acceptances. But rejection wise, I was obviously really sad about not being able to get accepted in Northwestern University. But it's like the same thing that I just said before. Rejection can make you feel awful, and sometimes acceptances can make you feel like you have imposter syndrome. But I think you cannot change results. During this time, I know like it'll be like in March or May, or sometimes earlier for you if you apply to like early action and stuff. It might be like December, January. So I just want to say that please do remember that these rejections doesn't reflect on who you are. I think personality wise, I think I met a lot of people that has a great personality and a great future, but like they didn't get into like, I don't know, like the top elite schools. I don't think it means anything. I think your heart really values the most of what you want to do and who you are. Step 2, list out your scholarship and or your financial aid from colleges you are accepted to. So typically, each time you receive an acceptance letter, a week or two later, you might receive a financial packet if you apply to FAFSA, or for me, I applied to my merit scholarship. So for most schools, I typically would receive it. The latest was like 3 weeks later, but usually I would receive an email about it probably 2 or 3 days later once I receive my email version of acceptance letter. So make sure to write it down, because I think one of the important factors is financial wise, and writing it down really makes it more clear and doing charts. Step 3, prioritize the factors you and your family value. So it's not just, I know it's, of course, going to college, you value the most. Like as a student, we value where we go the most. But the thing is, I think if you are trying to manage it financially wise, it's also how your family values the most as well. So definitely evaluate what your factors are and try to prioritize, try to list it out. Like there are mainly the tips, like there are 8 main factors: location, financial and merit scholarships, honors program, living conditions, major, resources, and overall satisfaction. So for me, I definitely wanted to see the living conditions first because I'm an international student. So I looked at the living condition and I definitely took, I would say Rice out pretty quick because even though the living condition is great, I didn't, no offense, but for me, I didn't feel like I couldn't imagine it was me living in Rice for like the next 4 years. So I took out Rice and a lot of other colleges too, like University of Maryland, Baltimore County, Muhlenberg. I went to see like some of the colleges way before, and I thought I would love it, but I realized their dorm wasn't like the super greatest place. And I think I took out Malloy and St. Joseph. Those 2 I took out. So even though I got a full scholarship at both places, I didn't feel like living there I could not imagine myself living there. So I just took them out because living conditions for me is what I value the most. The next one I valued, of course, was the merit and merit scholarship. And I didn't really get a lot. Of course, I couldn't get any money from Cornell. So although it was sad, but I took it out. And I also took out Stony and Binghamton because both of them had to pay out of state tuition. I also took out Drexel because its tuition price is really expensive. So that leads me to, after like pretty much valuing most of my factors out, it goes to the next step, which is eliminate it until I have my top 3. So like I said, even if it's your dream school, but you can't afford it, or a safety school that is not completely satisfied with your imagination. So like I said before, I took Cornell out because I could not afford it. Malloy, I definitely took out because I could not imagine myself going there for something that I wasn't really passionate about. So there are sometimes like this time. Last but not least, here is if you have trouble choosing it, like if you eliminated most of them and you got to like top 5 or top 3 or something. Like this was my I would say my March decisions. So these are my 5 last colleges that I have eliminated to. So if you have trouble choosing it, try to have a conversation with your friend, like or a teacher or anyone. Like try to have a conversation talking about colleges, even though it could be stressful, but like try to talk about it. Every time, think about like the last college you end on. For me, I constantly talk to one of my really close friends because she's also going to a school in Pennsylvania. So I literally talked to her about how I love all these colleges and I couldn't decide. But every time when we talk about like different factors and what we value, I always end up with Temple. So that's where I went in the end. And once I finished like the conversation, I kind of realized where I want to go. And I just put in a deposit. I pretty much put in a deposit like I would say like 2 weeks after I got my acceptances. So yeah, okay. So any questions? I am done with my college decisions today. Okay.
Yeah, so if you guys have questions, please put them in the chat. And Selena, can you see the chat, or I can read them out loud if you want. And I just like
I
keep
could
screen
see.
sharing so that we can have
I think I
something on
could.
the screen, I guess, on the video.
Okay, let me. Okay, so I don't think I could see it, so I'm going to leave my screen up, and you could
Wait, here,
probably.
I'll just read the questions then.
Yeah.
Okay, so first question is from Ashley, and she asked, do you have any advice for selecting colleges without actually visiting, since that's not possible with COVID?
Yeah. So for me, I definitely. It doesn't have to be like looking at colleges and you think about it. Sometimes talking to a current student, so you don't have to reach out, but sometimes you like usually they would have someone reaching you out through emails, like a student wise, and you could definitely email them back about, let's say you have some questions about it. Or also, um for me, I definitely had the chance to meet some people at the orientation, so they would usually have uh admitted student orientation, and you could talk to some of the people there, and they're pretty nice, and they would usually talk about it. And also, I think there's one thing that it's really important for me. I didn't really like how virtual visiting college works, so I usually just do a lot of researches on like the schools I like. So let's say um I didn't know Drexel until like probably January, and they were still accepting um, acceptances till February. So I definitely was like doing researches and looking at the factors that values for me the most. So I would just look at like how their major is and some of the stuff like that.
Yeah, so next question is any suggestions for what we can do to boost our applications in the little time we have left?
So I would say if you I think essay really helps a lot. So for my stats was in like the highest of a typical elite college pool. My essay really helped me a lot. Start your essay early. That's what I would say. And definitely, like, if you are struggle with writing, um, start with something that you're passionate the most about. So, like, something you could write a lot about. For me, of course, I wrote my journey during my high school because I lived alone for all 4 years as an international student. So I wrote about that. There are things that you can write about. It just I know brainstorming can be tough, but it's a essential process for you to boost up your applications as well as your essays.
Yeah, and also kind of going off of that, we also had a seminar last week about writing Common App essays that's posted on YouTube. So definitely, if you're interested, go watch that. And then the next question is, how important do you think prestige is compared to other factors when it comes to choosing colleges?
Like I said before, of course, prestigious is like some of the colleges I applied to, they're pretty prestigious, but did it really affect where I want to go? I think sometimes in your heart you kind of know where you want to go already, but you just need that someone to help you out a little, like give you a little push. So I would definitely say prestigious wouldn't be a main goal that you should like approach for. Um, for me, like I really don't want to be in debt for my 4 years of college. So definitely I would say affordability over prestigious. But at the same time, there are schools that are like Malloy. Malloy isn't like a well-known school, but its nursing major has been like in the national ranking for the past I think 4 or 5 years, like in the top for 4 or 5 years. So you can have a really competitive major in a non-prestigious school. I think there are things that you have to do research about depending on what schools you're attending or you want to apply to.
All right, and I think that's all the questions we have for now. I don't see any other ones in the chat. So if you have any further questions, feel free to email them to achieveclub@achieveclubinitiative@gmail.com, and we'll try to redirect them to Selina. And Selina, thank you so much for giving this seminar. It was super informative, and I hope that everyone learned a lot. And thank you to everyone for attending today. Yeah, so that's it. And I'll stop
Okay,
the
thank you
recording now.
guys.